September 8, 1987, 6:15 a.m. A fisherman found him. Face down, no ID, just a keychain. Seabreeze Inn, room 12. He'd been staying there for 2 days, and the owner knew exactly who he was. "6:47 a.m. Sheriff Tom Bradley arrived at Widow's Point, 17 minutes after Jack's call. He'd been sheriff of Harborview for 20 years, and in those 2 decades, he'd dealt with 3 deaths, 2 heart attacks and 1 boating accident, never an unidentified body on a beach. Jack was sitting on a rock, shaking, not from cold, but from shock. His fishing rod still lay where he'd dropped it, lines swaying in the wind. "Didn't touch him," Jack said before Tom even asked. "Saw he was dead and called right away." Tom approached the body. It was a man, probably between 40 and 50. Common clothes, jeans, blue flannel shirt, hiking boots. He was face down, face turned to the side, half buried in the wet sand. Tom knelt beside the body, checked for a pulse, nothing. The skin was cold, pale. He'd been in the water, that was obvious. His clothes were soaked, hair plastered to his head. "Jack," Tom called without taking his eyes off the body. "Do you recognize him?" Silence. Then, "Never seen this man in my life, Tom." Tom carefully turned the body over. The face was swollen from the water, but still recognizable. Common features, a few days of stubble, nothing distinctive. He searched for identification, checked the pants pockets, empty. Shirt pockets, nothing. No wallet, no keys. Nothing that said who this man was. But then, attached to the belt, Tom saw something. A keychain. Simple metal with a small wooden disc engraved on it. Seabreeze Inn, room 12. Tom pulled the keychain carefully. The wooden disc was swollen with water, but the engraving was still legible. Seabreeze Inn, room 12. Recent check-in. Tom looked at Jack. He was staying at Sarah Mitchell's inn. And for the first time that morning, something passed through Jack's eyes. Something Tom couldn't quite identify. Recognition, fear, or just surprise. 8:30 a.m. Seabreeze Inn. Sarah Mitchell was in the inn's kitchen making coffee when she heard the knock. 3 firm, official knocks. She knew who it was before she even opened the door. Sarah was 24 and had inherited the Seabreeze Inn from her husband 3 years ago when he died in a boating accident. Too young to be a widow. She was beautiful in a quiet way. Brown hair always pulled back in a bun, simple but elegant clothes, a polite smile that never quite reached her eyes. No children. Respected in the community. And that morning, when she opened the door and saw Sheriff Tom Bradley with a serious expression, Sarah Mitchell did something she'd been doing for 15 years. She lied. "Sarah," Tom removed his hat respectfully. "I need to ask you some questions." "Of course, Tom, come in." Her voice was calm, hospitable. "Coffee? No, thank you." "It's about a guest." He showed her the keychain. "Room 12. Did you have someone check in over the last few days?" Sarah took the keychain, examined it. Her hands didn't tremble. "Oh yes, a gentleman. Checked in yesterday afternoon around 5. Can you give me his name?" "Registration information." Sarah went to the counter, opened the guest book, turned to yesterday's page, and that's when she told the first direct lie. "He paid cash. Said it was just for 1 night that he was passing through. I got so busy I forgot to have him sign." He seemed trustworthy. Tom looked at her for a long moment. Sarah knew that look, the sheriff trying to decide whether to believe her. "Sarah, that's not like you. You're always meticulous with records." "I know." She placed the keychain on the counter. "It was careless of me." "Why are you asking? Did he do something wrong?" "He's dead. We found his body at Widow's Point this morning." Sarah didn't need to fake the shock. She actually went pale, held onto the counter. But it wasn't surprise that he was dead. It was fear that her lie was about to unravel. "My God," she whispered. How did he die?" "Apparently drowning. I need you to identify the body." "You're the only person who admits to having seen him." 20 minutes later, Sarah stood in the small makeshift morgue, the back room of Dr. Helen Morrison's practice. The body was covered with a white sheet. Tom waited beside her. "Ready?" Sarah nodded, though she wasn't. Tom pulled back the sheet, revealing the dead man's face. The swelling caused by the water had disguised his features on the beach. But here, cleaned and under fluorescent light, Sarah could see clearly. And when her eyes moved from the face to the man's left forearm, a small burn scar, old, shaped like a crescent moon, she felt the world spin. She knew that scar. Had seen it made 15 years ago. And Sarah looked at that face, a face she knew, a face that had haunted her for 15 years, a face she never thought she'd see again, and told the second lie, "No, I don't recognize him. Never saw him before yesterday." Harborview was the kind of town where news traveled faster than cars. Before noon, everyone knew: unidentified body at Widow's Point. Middle-aged man. Apparently drowned. Nobody knew who he was. But 4 people in Harborview knew exactly who he was. And each of them was terrified. David Chen was at his restaurant when he heard. Chen's Harbor Restaurant was the only Chinese restaurant in Harborview. And David had run it for 14 years with his wife Linda. He was an immigrant from Hong Kong, arrived in the United States in 1973. Hard worker, dedicated father of 2, respected by customers. Always with a smile, always kind. But when the fish delivery man casually mentioned body on the beach, nobody knows who it is, David dropped the knife he was holding. It clattered to the floor with a metallic sound that made Linda turn from the kitchen. "David, are you okay?" He picked up the knife with trembling hands. Yes, just slipped, because David Chen knew who the dead man was. He'd talked to him 2 days ago at the dock at night, when no one was watching. And that man knew a secret about David Chen. A secret that could destroy everything: his life, his family, his citizenship. David Chen wasn't really David Chen. At 11 a.m., Father Patrick Doyle was at St. Anne's Catholic Church when he heard the news. He was 51 and had been Harborview's priest for 15 years, since 1972, when he was transferred from Boston. He was a father figure to the community. Everyone respected him. He knew every family's secrets through confession, but never broke the seal. He was trustworthy. He was good. But when Mrs. Henderson casually mentioned after morning mass terrible tragedy, a man drowned, tourist probably, Father Patrick felt his legs weaken. He excused himself, went straight to the sacristy, locked the door, and knelt before the crucifix. And for the first time in 15 years, Father Patrick Doyle couldn't pray, because Father Patrick knew who the dead man was. He'd met with him 3 days ago, late at night in the back of the church, and that man had said something Patrick thought was buried forever. "I know what you did in 1972, Father. I know why you were transferred. And I know about the children." At noon, Rebecca Walsh was in the newsroom of the Harborview Gazette when she heard. Becca was 27 and the only investigative journalist at the local paper, though investigative mostly meant covering town council meetings and craft fairs. But Becca was ambitious. She wanted more, wanted real stories, wanted to leave Harborview and work at a real newspaper. And when her editor, who was also her father, casually mentioned unidentified body, probably tourist who got lost, Becca felt something freeze in her veins, because she'd seen that man 4 days ago at a cafe in Portland 2 hours away, and he'd given her a brown envelope with a label that said only St. Michael's 1972. If you're enjoying this video, please click the like button so YouTube can share it with more people. And if you enjoy this type of video, please subscribe to our channel. 2:30 p.m. Dr. Helen Morrison's practice. Dr. Morrison had been Harborview's physician for 10 years, and though she wasn't an official medical examiner, she was the one who examined any suspicious cases. She was 48, meticulous, and didn't accept easy conclusions. Sheriff Tom was with her as she examined the body. Heavy lungs, foam in the airways. Estimated time of submersion between midnight and 4 a.m. today. So he drowned accidentally. Dr. Morrison hesitated. There are signs consistent with submersion, but she pointed to the dead man's forehead. "See this mark? And there's a contusion back here too." She gently turned the head, showing. "I can't rule out trauma. Tom, we need the state medical examiner in Augusta. I'm requesting a full autopsy." Tom felt his stomach tighten. "You're saying this might not have been an accident?" "I'm saying I need certainty. I'm calling the medical examiner from Augusta. But Tom, she removed her gloves. If this wasn't an accident, if it was intentional, it happened here in Harborview, which means someone in this town knew him and may have killed him. Tom left the office with one question hammering in his head. Who was this man? And why was everyone in Harborview insisting they'd never seen him before? 4 p.m. Tom decided to do what he always did when he needed answers. Talk to people. He went to the general store, the hardware store, the gas station, showed a Polaroid photo of the dead man that Dr. Morrison had taken, the face cleaned and photographed respectfully, standard procedure. Ever seen this man? Everyone said the same thing. No, never. Tourist? Probably. At the hardware store, the owner, Jonathan Reeves, a local businessman who also had interests in an electrical maintenance company, looked at the photo for a long time before saying, "No, never seen him." But there was something in his tone. Something too defensive. Tom Bradley hadn't been sheriff for 20 years without learning to read people, and he saw something in the reactions. Small things, eyes that looked away too quickly, nervous hands, people who answered too fast with too much certainty. Someone was lying, maybe several people. 5:30 p.m., Tom returned to his office and did something he rarely needed to do in Harborview. Sent the dead man's fingerprints to the Maine State Police Crime Lab. If the man had any criminal record in the state or region, any old arrest, they might identify him. But it would take days, maybe a week. Comparisons were still done manually, card by card. Meanwhile, Tom had an unidentified body, a possible crime scene, and an entire town that either really didn't know the dead man or was participating in the biggest conspiracy of silence Harborview had ever seen. That night, 4 people in Harborview couldn't sleep. Sarah Mitchell was in her room at the inn, looking at a shoebox hidden in the back of the closet. A box she hadn't opened in 15 years. A box containing a secret the dead man had brought back to her. David Chen was in the empty restaurant after everyone had left, holding an old passport he'd kept hidden for 14 years. A passport with a different name, with a different life. Father Patrick Doyle was alone in the church, kneeling in the confessional but on the wrong side. On the side where sinners sit, because he had a confession to make. But there was no one there to hear him, and Rebecca Walsh was at home, the brown envelope open in front of her, documents spread across the table. Documents about a fire, about an orphanage, about 8 dead children, and about her mother. At 11 p.m. that night, Sheriff Tom Bradley was in his office when the VHF radio crackled. It was Jack McCarthy calling from the payphone at the pier. "Tom, I need to tell you something. About the body." "What is it, Jack?" Silence. Then, when I said I'd never seen him before, I lied. I saw him 2 days ago. He was at the dock talking to David Chen, and they didn't look like strangers. Tom sat up. "Why did you lie this morning?" "Because David's my friend, and because I'm afraid that if we start digging, we're going to find things this town doesn't want to find." And Jack hung up. The dead man at Widow's Point still had no name. No history, no past, but he had secrets. And those secrets were about to unearth 15 years of carefully buried lies. Because in small towns like Harborview, everyone knows everyone. And sometimes that's exactly the problem. In the next video, we'll discover who the dead man was. And more importantly, we'll discover why Sarah Mitchell, the most respected woman in Harborview, was willing to lie to protect his identity. Some stories begin with a mystery. This one begins with a lie, and before it's over, 4 people will have to decide. Keep lying to protect the past or tell the truth and risk losing everything. If you liked this video, subscribe to the channel and share our video to help us spread our stories.